At 9:30 this morning, I'm Rob Krieger. After 2 days of a boil water advisory in the East Bank of New Orleans and Algiers Point, water is back to normal this morning. It has been lifted. You can drink your tap water. We have the Sewage and Water Board Chief Ghassan Korban on the phone right now to speak with us a little bit about the response to this. Good morning, Mr. Korban. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well, thank you.
So everything is back to normal right now. People can drink their water, use it as normal. All of those tests came back okay, right?
Yes, indeed. And I do want to take the opportunity and obviously acknowledge the fact that we know that the boil water advisories are disruptive to our customers, and they obviously inconvenient folks. But we call it in the interest of their health, and obviously we do it in collaboration with the Louisiana Department of Health. So we're very thankful that the test results came back negative, and we're back to normal. So you can drink water from the tap.
You made a point this week to talk about the fact that, an entire boil water advisory on the East Bank of New Orleans hasn't been issued like this in at least the last 5 years or so because of the Water Hammer project, that $80 million project there at the Carrollton plant that provides 40 minutes of uninterrupted water pressure until it can be restored. When we know what happened with the employee who was injured and another employee who was helping them, is that the reason why this happened? The delay trying to make sure that that employee was okay and got the help that they needed, as opposed to just a power failure?
Absolutely. As I shared on Wednesday, typically when we have an outage, and that does happen, it's not uncommon for us to lose power. Relying on Entergy's power, and that does happen, occasionally. And when that happens, we have about 40 minutes to respond to that outage. In this case, the outage was very short-lived. It was about 3 to 4 minutes, and that basically sets off in motion a set of protocols that we have to do to turn the pumps back on. And we are afforded about 40 minutes of time because the two water towers are sitting basically in balance with the pressure of the system. And when that pressure is lost due to the loss of pumping, they automatically just start feeding the distribution system to maintain pressure and supply. And that did happen for 40 minutes. And typically, we are able to restore pumping well within the 40 minutes, and no one would know the difference because the way the towers are designed, they're very passive, and then they're called water hammers for a reason because they don't create a shock wave in the system. So that worked beautifully, worked exactly as designed. Unfortunately, the accident happened at the very early part of the protocol, which created much more delay, and we ended up needing about 50 minutes from the time we lost power to restore the pumping. And then those 10 extra minutes is what caused the pressure to drop significantly in the system, and which caused us to call for the boil water advisory.
Right. And clearly those 40 minutes, it's an urgent situation, regardless of what would happen in between. Is there some policy changes that will be made to ensure that employees at the water board can get this going faster if something like this happens again? Some sort of redundancy. That's what this Water Hammer project is a redundancy to ensure that this doesn't happen. Will there be changes made to ensure that if someone is injured on the job, the emergent situation can still be looked at?
Well, we certainly are. We have the responsibility to assess the process and evaluate it and look for ways to improve it. This was a very unfortunate and a one-off situation. It's an anomaly, and then obviously we're going to have to resist, making significant changes to a similar situation like this. But nonetheless, we are responsible for taking this as seriously as we can and assessing the process and looking for ways to improve it.
Councilman Joe Giarrusso indicated that that operator who was injured was the only one there. He was unattended. He says he was alone. And is that, and he says that's a problem for him. Is that something that'll happen in the future where there's just one person that can fix the issue if there is a power failure?
So we typically, again, we look at the situation as an everyday routine with some safeguards, obviously. And when we had 3 trained operators all positioned in specific locations with specific roles, and that one employee was at the station that had 2 pumps and they typically communicate with each other to make sure that everybody is aware of obviously the outage. They are all aware of their individual respective roles, and the communication does happen. And as a matter of fact, one of the employees called the other one to make sure that everything is going according to plan, and that's when that person didn't get an answer from the injured employee for all the obvious reasons. That's when he walked over to that site and discovered his coworker on the ground and injured and not able to do his job. Obviously, his first instinct was to take care of his coworker, spend time with him, made sure he made a difference actually in the way things evolved, and took care of his coworker until the emergency personnel showed up, and then obviously they all pivoted back. In the meantime, we summoned other people from who were not on duty. They came to the plant, and they assumed new roles, obviously, and they did what they needed to do to restore the pumps. And but that again took 50 minutes instead of the 40.
All right, so overall, obviously, a situation that really isn't normal here. We definitely want to send our thoughts out to that employee that was injured there. But overall, you would say the Sewage and Water Board will be looking at how to ensure this doesn't happen again?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have the obligation to do so. And just like in every incident, we do an after-action report and look for ways to plug any gaps or situations that deserve more tweaking or even significant changes to make sure that does not happen again.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's Ghassan Korban, the Executive Director of the Sewage and Water Board. We'll have more information throughout the rest of the day on the latest from that.